What's going on, everybody? This is Debt Free Steve, and today we're going to be watching a video from CNBC Make It, and it's called Living on $65K a Year, Working 3 Jobs in Houston, Texas. I got a feeling most of these jobs would probably be gig jobs like Uber or DoorDash, because this person's only making $65,000 a year, but I could be wrong. Let's see what they're doing.
So the American dream is that you get the education that you need and then you go and get a stable job, you buy the house, you buy the car, you get the 2.5 kids. But the reality is that in some situations, especially those who graduated during the Great Recession, is that we had a delayed start to that. And we had to figure out how to make adjustments in order to get there. My version of the American dream is just to be debt-free and live life on my own terms. My name is Shanita Leslie.
By the way, that's a great definition of the American dream, is being debt-free and just pretty much doing what you want to do on your free time. And I'm right there with it. I was in the same boat. I also graduated right after the recession, so I had to take the first job I got, and my whole career and life kind of progressed from there.
My name is Shanita Leslie. I'm 40 years old. I live in Houston, Texas, and I make $65,000 a year working 3 jobs. I like having multiple streams of income. Those are things that I don't feel like I have to do, and more so now that I want to do, now that I'm in a place that is financially comfortable for me.
Bam, I called it. I knew she was going to be doing some type of gig job. But yeah, 2 of them. She's delivering for DoorDash and she is freelance writing on top of her normal annual salary working at the college.
So I started my financial journey by picking up DoorDash as a side hustle to pay down my student loan debt.
Wow, $101,000 in student loan debt. But that includes the bachelor's and a master's degree. So here's a problem that I have with a lot of these degrees is that she got herself into $100,000 worth of debt, and all she has to show for it is $55,000 a year. Now, I do have to give her flowers here because she is doing DoorDash and side hustles to try to knock down that debt. So it seems like she is a woman on a mission, so I cannot knock her for that. But come on, guys, $100,000 in student loans just to go to college to make $55,000 a year.
I knew that DoorDash wasn't going to make me rich by any means, but I really enjoyed the idea of working on my own time instead of having someone dictate to me when I needed to start working, when I needed to stop working. I have a 4.9 customer service rating, 100% completion rate, and I have over 8,000 deliveries completed.
Wow, over 8,000 deliveries completed. At this point, if you ever lived in Houston, Texas, and you ordered DoorDash, most likely she delivered it to you.
I remember one time I was doing delivery to a restaurant for a customer, and when I walked in, I overheard what looked like a grandmother was talking to her grandchild, and she made a statement under her breath, and she said, make sure you get a good education so that you don't end up like that. That really took me back a little bit because I was actually doing DoorDash to pay off my student loans, to pay off the education that everybody told me I needed to get. At the height of the pandemic, that's when I was really doing the most amount of hours with DoorDash. I was doing maybe 4 to 5 hours after work a week. And so that equates to about maybe 25 to 30 hours, including the weekends that I was also putting forth.
Wow, so she made $72,000 doing DoorDash deliveries from 2018 to 2022. So you're looking at about $18,000 a year that she was earning doing DoorDash. And guys, there's no shame in doing side hustles to pay off bills, to kind of get yourself back on your feet. I bartended and I drove Uber. The bartending was probably the most fun for me, but that pretty much took away all my weekends. And I can understand where she's coming from. Hey, she's an educated woman. She has a regular job. She just needs an extra, couple $1,000s to kind of help pay down her student loan debt. I'm around the same age as her as well. So I completely understand that society told us, hey, get good grades in high school, go to college, get a degree, and you'll be fine. But that doesn't really happen in that way for most of us.
DoorDash kind of opened up other pathways for me to make money, and freelance writing was the second way I started to make money. I use zero-sum budgeting in order to manage my money, where I have one set amount of money coming into my bank account, and then from there I allocate every single dollar until it hits zero so that I understand where every expense came from.
Okay, so she says she uses zero-sum budgeting. So what that means that every dollar that comes into her account has a place for it. There's a good chance she's probably using the Every Dollar app from Dave Ramsey. He preaches this all the time, that every dollar that comes into your pocket has a name attached to it, has an earmarked for it. I did this for about 6 months, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it was actually kind of fun. I kind of made it like a game. Can I get it to the exact number of zero? Or, hey, I should have exactly $53.26 left in my account after this purchase. And sure enough, there it was. I gamified it and made it like a little game for myself, and that really helped. But it was pretty stressful just knowing that you have like no money in your account. But a lot of people just have that $1,000 in emergency fund in case they need it. So let's go over her expenses real quick. Her housing, I know my screen is blocking the housing and utilities, but that's $1,400, which isn't that bad. Okay, she's investing in a 403B. I'm assuming that's the only thing she can invest in because she's working for a university. And it's probably more important for her to pay down her student loan debt than to go ahead and start her own Roth IRA right now. Okay, she's not doing too bad. The only thing that's kind of throwing me off is the food. She's only spending $271 on food right here. So yeah, that's pretty low. That's about like $67 a week on food. That doesn't make sense to me. Either she's not putting in the correct amount, or she is eating just cheap processed foods all the time, which I'm very scared of.
I pretty much wake up at about 4 o'clock in the morning to get to my gym class at about 6 o'clock. It's really important to start my day at the gym because it's the first thing that I can get to do in the morning without any other obligations. And it allows me to dedicate the rest of my time after work towards doing DoorDash as my side hustle.
Okay, no. 4 a.m., not doing that. I'm not that disciplined. I like my sleep. But if she's getting up at 4 a.m. just to go to the gym, I applaud her for that. Health is wealth. I always encourage people to make sure that they are healthy, because you can have all the money in the world, but if you're not healthy, then that doesn't matter at all.
That way I didn't have to worry about the hassle of paying for all the expenses of having a new car while also trying to earn money as a DoorDash driver part-time. Getting around Houston has been actually pretty easy considering that I live within the greater Houston area. I can do both combinations of using my bike as well as the Metro Rail line.
Okay, she is definitely doing Dave Ramsey's plan. She has $1,000 in savings, and she's also doing a zero-sum budget, which is most likely doing his Every Dollar app.
I do intend on growing that emergency fund after I have fully covered all of any remaining debt that's left out there.
Okay, so she has $96,000 in retirement savings, which is great, and contributes $400 a month. So she's kind of doing like a Dave-ish plan, because Dave kind of says to stop all investings temporarily for about 2 to 3 years. However, with her, I think it's going to take more than 2 or 3 years, definitely, to pay off her debt, because she's only making 55 plus her side hustle, so that's 65, and she has $101,000 in debt. Most likely, she couldn't pause on investing for that long because she knew it was going to take her several years to pay off this student loan.
I feel pretty comfortable about my retirement investments and my quality of life that I'll have when I do hit the age of retirement, I think I'm saving pretty reasonably considering the amount of student loan debt that I was also paying off simultaneously.
Okay, $12.50 a month for her loft apartment. I don't know too much about Houston, but $12.50 for her own apartment, that's pretty good.
I have a lot more flexibility in my budget to be able to afford a bigger apartment, but I choose to live in accommodations that I really enjoy and is also more financially affordable.
$270 a month between dining out and groceries. That's not a lot of food.
I like to spend a small amount of my money within the health and wellness category, which includes clothes, eating out, enjoying time with friends and family, and some small traveling every once in a while. I am from Connecticut, born to a Jamaican father and a Black American mother. I think what inspired me to work in education is that I do have preachers and teachers in my family. And so I think just in my blood, naturally, education was a huge part of my life. So graduating during the Great Recession was one of the most stressful times of my life. I had accrued $101,000 of student loan debt. The weight of that was extremely severe, and it was really hard for me to get on my feet and find my first stable job working full-time.
I was right there with her. She graduated in 2009. I also graduated in 2009. It was very difficult to find a job. I found my first job through a staffing agency where I was working at a call center, making $13 an hour. I think it might have been less. I think I might have started off at $12 an hour. As a contractor, so no health benefits, no time off or anything. Thankfully, after just 6 months, I was able to actually get hired on and be a part of the company. It was tough times back then. So I completely understand where she's coming from, the kind of worry and scare that we all had. But I wasn't as scared as her because she had $101,000 in student loans. I did not have as much as she did.
To make enough to even pay the minimum balance, just the interest on the loan. And I knew that I would qualify for public service loan forgiveness at some point.
Wow, so she has $60,000 in federal loans forgiven in 2022 after working in public service and making consistent payments for 10 years. That is awesome. She is probably one of the few. I mean, she must be a Marine because she is the few and the proud, because not a lot of people have gotten their student loans forgiven like that. I heard it's a very difficult process, a long process. I mean, she had to make consistent payments for 10 years. I mean, even one hiccup, you're like disqualified sometimes, you know?
The moment I heard or received a letter that my federal student loans had been forgiven due to my years of service, I was completely relieved.
Okay, 18,000 more.
I decided to avoid having any credit cards. I haven't had the best history with having a credit card in the past, and I want to ensure that I kind of have a strong footing of where I am financially before I decide to take that route. I don't have any worries about my credit score right now because I don't intend on making any big purchases. I felt it was also essential that I continue to rent for right now until I'm able to feel comfortable enough to want to take on a large amount of debt all over again, but this time making it profitable, which is having rental property.
Okay, so she has Dave Ramsey written all over her face. I also want to commend her on knowing her limits. She said herself that she does not trust herself with credit cards. In the past, she kind of went a little crazy, which we all have. But she kind of pushed the credit cards aside for now. If you guys have a lot of credit cards or you might be getting your credit card for the first time, start with a very low limit, like $500. A lot of times with these credit card companies, they'll actually increase your credit card limit, but you can definitely call them up and say, no, do not raise my credit limit. bring it back down to $500, please, just to really keep yourself in check and only have that credit card in case of random emergencies. Because it's when you start getting $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 credit limits, that's when that can get a little bit out of hand.
When completing my debt-free journey, I anticipate on living my life to the fullest, like going to different countries on my own time and venturing out and doing more creative things that really fulfill me and really get to spend more time with my friends and family. I definitely want to enjoy my life and enjoy the life I created for myself by becoming debt-free. And I'm living out what I anticipated, which is really just buckling down and focusing on my goals and making sure that I never put myself in that situation again.
Okay, so there you have it. So she is doing amazing. A couple of advice that I would actually give to her. Yeah, she just needs to go ahead and just pay the rest of this $18,000 off as soon as she can. It's been a little long for her to keep having this debt hanging over her since technically 2009 when she graduated. So that's 16 years. 60,000 of it was forgiven. Already paid off $21,000 in private loans. She has another $18,000. The other thing I want to know is, what is she cooking? How is she only spending $271 a month on food and dining out? Well, there you guys have it. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Debt Free Steve. I'll see you guys next time.